Futaba Sakura, the love child that you get when you cross calamari in the color orange. She's every gamer's wet dream, dropping that kill streak lingo and drinking you under the table with a 6-pack of Mountain Dew. And she does all of this while calling you her special key item, only for you to find the FBI raiding your house and Sojiro giving you his disapproving side.
What? FBI, open up!
In the words of someone else kinda famous on them YouTubes,
don't fuck your sister!
And for all of you saying that she's not your sister, she's not blood related, you're not even family, all I have to say is, well, you're entitled to your opinion, and let me introduce you to the FBI outside. All jokes aside, there have been some questions I've had about Futaba's story in Persona 5. So in the words of Futaba, listen up noob, we're gonna dive 7 layers deep to see if we can figure out the details as to why a Persona user like Futaba has a palace. Now, where the bars at? Persona 5 is a game that has a lot of lore and rules about the world the characters live in, to explain the inner workings of the palaces and the cognitive metaverse of the population, while somehow finding a way to be less convoluted than a single Kingdom Hearts character's backstory. Our main source for this information comes from our partner in crime, Morgana. When he's not telling us to go to bed every 5 seconds of the day, Morgana explains that palaces are able to form within people with distorted desires that ultimately end up consuming them. While Persona users, on the other hand, don't form palaces because they have fully accepted themselves and don't succumb to their distorted desires in order to awaken to their persona. So okay, when we look at this at face value, this all sounds pretty straightforward. Of course someone with a troubled past like Futaba would end up developing a palace. As a little girl, Futaba lost her mom to a psychotic breakdown, and then she was manipulated to believe that she alone drove her mother to commit suicide. Being at such a young age to carry such a heavy burden would drive anyone into madness. So it's completely understandable that Futaba would develop a palace given the situation she's been through. But Keta, that doesn't explain why she has a palace while being a Persona user. I hear you saying on the other side of the screen. Now that's very true, and I'll explain why in a moment before you can say Akechi-kun loves pancakes.
Delicious pancakes.
Alright, okay, 1 second, let me stop real quick. Let me be real with you all real quick. I should be ashamed. That joke was terrible. That joke was booty cheeks. Cringy AF. I am so terribly sorry that you all had to hear that. Anywhoosies. Well, it's very simple. Futaba didn't have her persona yet. So technically, she was not a Persona user yet either. I mean, even Morgana was confused by the whole situation when Futaba entered her own palace, not knowing what the consequences would be. Now, follow me on this real quick. You don't need to play the other games in the Persona series to play Persona 5. But, with that being said, it doesn't hurt to be knowledgeable with the other games. So, when breaking down Futaba's situation, it is very unique to our Phantom Thieves. But we have to remember, the Phantom Thieves are not the only Persona users in Japan.
Just get on with it!
Persona users have also appeared in a small little backwater town in the middle of nowhere called Inaba. That's right, peeps, we're taking a trip down memory lane to Persona 4. Now, going to a game outside of Persona 5 may seem like cheating, but I swear on Teddy's empty shell of a bear costume, everything will make sense soon enough. Just bear with me. Now, follow me on this. It may not be openly said, but it's heavily implied that the worlds of Persona 4 and 5 are one and the same. And actually, the whole Persona series exists in the same universe. But for now, we're going to focus on P4 and P5. So the rules for Persona users apply to both games. And now that I think about it, maybe Atlus should release a Fairly Odd Parents style The Rules on the requirements of a Persona user. I mean, I'd buy it. Just saying, Atlus. Anyway, the evidence linking the two worlds are right in front of your face like a large stack of pancakes. I'm sorry, I won't say pancakes again. You can find posters of Risei Kujikawa and Kanami Mashita in the subway station connecting Shibuya. This is very clear evidence that these two characters from P4 and P4 Dancing All Night respectively have real-world presence in P5. You can also find the OG Ace Detective, Naoto Shirogane in P5 as well. She's being featured on the same morning talk show that Akechi has spent so much time on. Now, there are too many Easter eggs to cover in this one video, so I'll put links in the description covering this very topic. Don't worry fam, I got you. So with continuity established, let's dive into what makes a Persona user in P4. In Persona 4, the equivalent to palaces are dungeons. Similar to the palaces in P5, the dungeons in P4 manifest when someone is thrown inside the Shadow World, which is accessed by using the TVs. The characters find themselves on the wrong side of a television screen will produce a dungeon in that world. This said dungeon will be a reflection of the host's greatest insecurities within them. At the heart of the dungeon, the host will have to face a shadow version of themselves. This shadow is a physical manifestation of the host's personal insecurities. These insecurities are the other side of themselves, or in other words, a persona that the host can't face or accept. When the moment comes for the host to confront their shadow, there are two possible scenarios that can happen. One, the host accepts their shadow and learns to love themselves for who they really are so they can live happily ever after. Or two, the host rejects the shadow and then the shadow lashes out of pure jealousy, like a Japanese schoolgirl throwing a notice me senpai temper tantrum from being ignored. And to no one's surprise, of course the latter of the two almost always happens. A battle inevitably ensues, and in the aftermath, the host accepts their shadow to reveal their persona. Most of the time. Okay, with all those details laid out, we can finally start identifying the similarities between Futaba's palace and the dungeons of P4, and we can quickly see there are quite a few right off the bat. First off, Futaba is the only person in P5 to have direct contact with their own shadow. This is an exact reference to P4 and how the process is played out. Next, the shadows the Phantom Thieves target throughout the game are direct representations of the palace ruler's distorted desires. But with Futaba, this is where we find a key difference. Instead, Futaba's shadow is a reflection of the truth, the part of her that knows how events truly happened with her mother. Futaba herself houses all these insecurities about her mother's death, and are the key reason to her distorted desire, her desire to die. Futaba is actively rejecting the truth of her mother's death. So in reality, Futaba's shadow is her voice of reason. The relationship that Futaba has with her shadow is almost identical to the P4 counterparts. The difference being that the relationship had a way more positive interaction from the very beginning. Now, if Futaba decided to reject her shadow, then things might have ended differently and would have been way more hostile. And finally, Futaba is the only person in P5 to have their persona awaken through their own personal shadow, just like the persona users in P4. All the other Phantom Thieves awaken to their persona out of sheer will of rebellion, while Futaba awakens to her persona out of acceptance, making Futaba totally unique compared to her teammates and also working nicely as a callback to the persona users in P4. So yeah, there you go. Now I hope you enjoy this in-depth look at Futaba Sakura because she is such an interesting character. And who knows, maybe I'll delve deeper into her whole family's backstory, if you guys, want to learn more about it. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But anyways, over the course of the Persona series, we learned there are just multiple ways as to how someone can become a Persona user. And a topic like that could probably use its own dedicated video. But I need to get out of here. Thank you so much for watching this video, and please make friends with that like button if you enjoyed it. Please consider subscribing to the channel, as I'm going to continue uploading more content onto this channel. Thank you for your time, and catch you later, fam.
Searching up, never enough. Felt like the cup, run out the gun. I wouldn't give one if I could find a fun.